Ladies and gentlemen, the GOAT, Mr. Cameron Smith, welcome to this Monday.
Good morning, boys. How are we?
Going well,
Super.
Ken. I'm looking at the top of the table here, and I'm seeing Cam's former club, Melbourne, and I'm seeing the club that plays at a ground that you love, Shark Park, Cam Smith. There they are, first and second. They're going well, aren't they, the Sharks and the Storm?
No, they're both going really well. Just looking at their matches so far this year, they've had similar form lines actually. They've taken care of a fair few teams outside the 8. They both suffered a loss actually to teams sitting sort of a little bit low on the ladder in the same round, boys, in round 3. So the Sharks get beat by the Tigers in round 3 and Storm lose to Newcastle in round 3, but they face each other this week, so we'll get a bit of an indication on really who's going a little bit better than the other this week.
Melbourne Storm on their socials proudly put up there, and the GOAT is back in the house. You were there on the Gold Coast as a fan on the weekend on Saturday to see the Storm play the Titans. So did you watch with a close eye the actual breakdown of the game, or did you were absolutely in relaxed mode?
Probably half, Vossie. Yeah. No, I was actually there with my under-15s boys from the Currumbin Eagles. So yeah, took the young fellas along, and we got to go down on the sideline in the warm-up. So they got a bit of a closer look at how the big boys do it, particularly with their preparation for their game and all that sort of stuff. But no, I sat up behind. I was up the northern end, so I had a good view of the game. So I was actually I was trying to relax a little bit to watch the game. But you just go back into normal footy mode and you start to sort of dissect the game a little bit and analyse it. Just because Melbourne's playing, so it's always, even though I've been out of the game now for a few years, it's still I still sit on the edge of my seat when I'm watching the Melbourne Storm play. But they got away with a tough victory, probably in the end a fortunate victory. It could have gone the way of the Titans, but they hung in there to get a tough win.
I made an observation of this game earlier. We had a text about, Harry Grant was at the referee all night. So we've had this issue running all morning. The referees, Casey Badger, Belinda Sharp, should they be treated with more respect than other referees? But within that was a texter had a claim saying Harry Grant was at Belinda Sharp all night. And I said, well, no, I want to put that into context. That was because the markers for the Titans were getting away with murder, I thought, for the better part of the night. Harry Grant was just flabbergasted by the end. He ran it, not markers beside, and wasn't drawing penalties. Yeah. It's a different issue to female-male referee, but tell me, Cameron, from your days, if you got a whiff early that a referee is keeping the whistle in the pocket, that you can get away with things, do you then is it just open slather? Because I thought the Titans, they've been criticised for being spoilers earlier this year by the Raiders. I thought that's exactly what they were trying to do to Melbourne the other night and got away with it.
Yeah, well, it's smart play, isn't it? Like, you're always going to push the boundaries. Like, that's a part of playing professional sport. Like, you're trying to get every opportunity or every advantage that you can on the opposition. So, Des has done a smart thing there, whereas he's coming up against one of the elite dummy halves of the competition. Everyone knows that if Harry Grant runs the ball, or if he's given the opportunity to run the ball, Melbourne are a much more dangerous footy side. So when he's running out of dummy half, he's getting good meters. He's bringing Hughes and Munster and Pappenhausen onto the football. That's when they're at their most dangerous. So if you can try and, I wouldn't say, confuse the referee or you just try and test them out a little bit. And if they're going to let you get away with it, then you get away with it. It's just that's just the way it is. It's
admitting that you would feel out a referee early. You'd just get a lay of the land early, and then go for it. Green light.
And I would even say, and I completely agree. I noticed that as well. Harry going up to the referees a lot and speaking with particularly Belinda about certain things. Obviously, I don't know what he was talking about, but it was because of the markers. And I did notice that as well. They were sort of half standing to the side of the play the ball, but they got away with it. The thing you got to do there as the opposition dummy half, and this is a little thing for Harry, moving forward is, well, mate, stop, don't go up once or twice maybe, and if you don't get any response, well, you just go back to your side and say, righto, boys, they're getting away with it. Let's start doing that as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sadly, that probably is the solution. Very wise advice, Cameron.
But Vossi, it is.
Yeah,
it is
that's what you're getting away with. Yeah.
Because that's just the way the officiating is going that night. That's the way that the referees are seeing the game. And the referees know, and all the players know, like they can't allow one team to do a certain thing and not the other team. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't penalise the Storm for not being square at marker, but then allow the Titans to do it. So, and they're the conversations that you have with the referee. They're the type of things I used to speak with the referee about. Like you just talk with Belinda and say, look, they're not square. Like you're not giving us set restarts, and you say, right, okay, well if that's the way the game's going to be played, we'll do the same.
In broad
and
terms,
the referees on notice too.
Cameron, do you think, in broad terms, and at the moment in isolation, we're talking about Casey Badger and what happened, but in broad terms, do you think we have a problem in the NRL with respect towards referees across the board? Do you think it's an area that we need to improve on? Or do you think things are fine?
Well, I don't see a huge problem at the moment. I don't see a problem between players talking with referees and referees talking with players, particularly referees to players. I find that there's less frustration. There's less frustration in the playing group when referees, now at the right time, of course, right? You can't have players coming up to referees at every part of the game, at every stoppage. But if referees give the opportunity to just have a quick word with a captain and explain a situation really quickly, then I find that they stay in control of the game more than when they just wave them away and send them back to the line and there's no explanation. And that's what builds frustration in footy teams and in players, is when the players have no idea exactly why a call's been made or why referees made a determination the way they have. But as far as general respect for referees are concerned, I haven't seen anything that's really stood out to me this year compared to years gone by.
Okay. Well, Kev from Camden, was Cam Smith at the game to give Harry some pre-game coaching on talking to the ref? So
He got 15.
Kev from Camden. We just brushed past the Currumbin Eagles. How are they going? I know we're turning left when we should be going straight ahead. The Currumbin Eagles firing under your tutelage, Cam?
Well, we had a bye on the weekend. But we've had the two matches, so we're 1-1 at the moment. So we're still in a grading process. So in the junior ranks, they have a bit of a grading process in the first few weeks. So, but we're going all right. They matched us up against a team that won the Div 1 competition last year, and they're a quality football side. And look, we went down by 10. So really happy with where the boys are at the moment. They're
speaking
the
like
main
a
thing
coach.
for me. The main thing for me, boys, is it's not about the wins and the losses and trying to take out a competition this year. It's about these young fellas having a bit of fun and making sure that they're better footballers, right? And they're better young men at the end of the year.
Well said.
That's the goal.
Well said, Cam. Hey, Melbourne 22 over the Titans 20 with injury concerns though. The Storm, Ryan Pappenhausen 4-6 with that leg fracture. We saw Suafar Longo score that startling try and then pick up an injury as well. Injuries very much a theme of the round. Do you have a take on the current injury toll? Are we shining a light on it more because of the high-profile players who are getting injured, or are there more injuries in the modern game than there were in eras past?
Well, it seems that way, doesn't it? Now, I don't know the exact number. Like, we'd have to find someone that keeps a track of all this stuff, but it does seem as though like we're picking up more and more injuries. Now, is that because of the way the game's played now? It's never been faster, boys. The game has never been played at a faster rate than what it is now. And the players are only getting bigger and stronger and more powerful. So that's got to have an impact on the injury toll as well. But yeah, like as you spoke about across the weekend, Matty, like the high profile stuff, we've seen Reynolds go down with the bicep injury for the Broncos. Pappenhausen now, which is, that was an unfortunate one. AJ Brimson just sort of come down picking up a loose ball and landed on his leg, which he did fracture last year. So, that's sort of aggravated that injury. I think Jerome Hughes is going to spend some time on the sideline. Is that being confirmed?
The calf injury.
With the calf issue. So he did that in the first 10 minutes, but he pushed through and played. You got Nathan Cleary on the sideline. He's trying to manage that hamstring issue.
Cam Murray.
Cam
Murray's out for a significant amount of time.
Captain's curse. Big Tino gone for the season. So many. I mean, the side we read out of the 17 names, it'd win the comp. the team of the sideline stars, would win the competition. The salary cap would be $45 million, but it'd win the comp. Question for you, Cameron. Bulldogs fans very happy. So they've kept their spot in the top 8. They now have a match against Penrith. They're sitting on 10 points. This question for Smithy here from Texter 977. Do you think the Dogs can finish in the top 8 this year? Finally play some finals footy again? Do they have enough to push the teams above them? What's your summation, Cameron, of the Bulldogs through 9 rounds? Declare them in or out of the 8? Early Crow. Well,
That's
saying,
going off
like,
really early,
they
Bossy.
weren't in your 8 to begin with. They weren't in your 8. Let's put it.
No.
They weren't there, but now from what you've seen, are they better than what you thought, and are they a genuine top 8 contender?
Well, I'll tell you what. They weren't in my top 8, but there's probably 3, maybe 4 teams in the bottom 8 that were in my top 8 at the start of the year as well. So, yeah, look, well, if they play with that toughness, right, and that tenacity that we've seen from them in a few of their games this year. Like, what are they? They're 4 wins out of 8 matches, so that's not a bad record. But the test is this week. That's the test. So they're coming up against the side running third, and could quite easily be winning the competition. Is Nathan back? Are we hearing that Nathan will play this game?
I think he will. It was the short turnaround that they were most concerned about with Nathan Cleary, the short turnaround to Thursday night. Yeah.
So, particularly with Nathan Cleary back, like we've seen what they did to South the other night. You know, South got away to a great start. They scored 2 tries while they had a player in the sin bin, the Penrith Panthers. But, you know, Brad Schneider, I thought he controlled the game beautifully. But he doesn't do it in the way that Nathan Cleary does. So, this is a big test for the Doggies. Now, forget about the result, all the Doggies fans. I'd be more concerned about just watching their performance against the team that, you know, that's won the last 3 and could possibly go on and play another grand final this year. That's what I'd be focused on. Like, how are they going to handle the pressure that the Penrith Panthers are going to bring? They're not with all due respect to these sides, they're not a Tigers, okay? They're not a Newcastle. They're not a South Sydney Rabbitohs. They're a side that they apply pressure to you the entire match. So I'd be more interested in seeing my team, as in the Bulldogs, seeing how they handle that this weekend, more so than the result. If you get beaten, okay. If you get beaten, you get beaten, and that's just a one-off game. But I'd rather just see how they're going to perform and handle it, because come the end of the season, if they are part of the finals, well, that's they're going to be playing sides that are going to apply pressure to them.
Yeah. Oh, wow. What if the Dogs win? Man, that'd be... Geez, that'd be a shot in the arm for the
I'll tell you what.
Fans.
I'll tell you what, boys. They'll be up for it, because they've got a handful of ex or former Penrith people involved, right? Players and coach. Like Cameron Ciraldo was there. He's a part of, you know, a lot of the success that the Penrith Panthers have had over the past few years, and he understands what they're about. So I think that's what he's trying to bring to the Dogs is you know, a bit of that playing style and that belief and that mindset that they take into footy games. And you can see it. You can see it starting to build with this Bulldogs outfit.
Club. The whole club, Cameron. The 17s were minor premiers. The 19s made the grand final. The under-21s are running second. New South Wales Cup's running second. They're in the top 8 in first grade. Things have turned around. Good feel there.
Yes.
Question for, what about this one, Matty? Cameron is at the Titans. This is a hypothetical for you. Cameron is at the Titans on $1 million a year. What pay cut are you prepared to take to play in the Panthers system, play semi-finals and potentially a grand final from Panther Gaz?
From Cameron Fafita, who we've got on the phone this morning. Cameron Fafita,
brother.
over to you.
What pay cut would you take? Put it in percentage terms.
Do you need me to define pay cut for you, Cameron? Do you know what that means?
You've never had a pay cut.
What is what's the reported figure that well, in inverted commas, Cameron is being paid at the Titans?
Let's say Cameron's on
what's
$1
reported?
Million. Let's do round figures. He's on $1 million.
Goodness me.
How much less than $1 million would he go to a club that's an absolutely chance of winning a title?
Well,
again,
yes. Well, you got to weigh it up. You got to weigh it up. What's more important to you? Is it your financial situation, or do you genuinely want to win a premiership?
Do you want to win a premiership, Cameron Fafita?
That's the
you
yeah.
want to win
Well,
what
that's
pay cut? The question: can you hear? If we had a problem with our line, what pay cut would you be prepared to take? What would you? What is it? Is it 100,000? Is it 200,000? Cameron?
Well, how much has the Penrith club got for me? First and foremost.
Well, let's say round figures. Let's say 800,000. So you're talking about a difference of 200.
Okay,
Is $200,000 a lot for a modern day rugby league player when you lose half of it in tax, when you have to relocate, when you're living in a more expensive city? So there's a lot. There's a lot in the equation, isn't there, Cam?
Yes. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how much have they got?
Just give us an answer.
What am I currently on?
Get me Isaac Liu instead. I don't want Cameron Fafita.
What sort of role do they want me to play? Am I going there just as a bit of a role player, or am I a huge part of what they're trying to do too? Because if I'm contributing in a huge way to winning a premiership, well, I've got to be paid the sufficient amount as well, boys. You know what I mean? Okay, Penrith, I'll take a pay cut, but if I'm going to be a starter and I'm going to be a huge part of winning you a fourth consecutive premiership, well, I want to be paid as well. I'm not just coming down here to do all your donkey work and get nothing. The other people get paid. You know what I mean?
Shut the door on him.
So I'll come down. Listen, I'm on $1 million. If I'm coming down as a starter and I'm a huge part of your plans, well, listen, give me $750.
Cameron the Goat Smith becoming Cameron the Donkey Fafita.
That's it.